Hey guys, and welcome to Ozzie Reviews, and welcome to this month's Q&A for September. Now I believe this is the 20th edition of Q&A, so I can't believe it's been going as long as it has. It's certainly been popular, and I keep getting very interesting questions from you guys. So what I might do too, guys, is sometimes I get very much the same question from different people. So what I might do is I might wrap up with different things each month as well. If I get multiple questions from people that are virtually the same or along the same lines, I'll answer it in this Q&A as well. But you have to be on Patreon to submit the questions. Guys, I've had to do this simply because I just get overwhelmed with the amount of questions that come through to me on the normal Facebook and emails. Like, there's just too much. I can't possibly respond to it all. So that's why I've had to limit it to Patreon. If you can help out, very much appreciated, because really there's nobody else paying my bills but me, and it's what keeps me independent. So when you click on one of my reviews that the product is being reviewed exactly how it is, not because of what sponsors want me to say or somebody else who has some sort of influence over the review. That just doesn't happen with me, and that's why my reviews will always be independent. So let's get into this month's questions. So what I'm going to wrap up with first is the biggest question I've got from multiple people is what's happening with the Sako M10 review. Well guys, I finished reviewing it. I reviewed it over a couple of days, and yeah, not too bad. I was pretty happy with the results there. I find it a pretty good weapon system in general, and I say weapon system because that's how it's targeted towards military and stuff like that. So I do find it quite good, but I'm not going to spoil anything. I don't want to let anything sort of out prematurely, because naturally I want you to enjoy the review. But I do shoot for groups there at 100, and I also go out to 1,000 yards with it to really demonstrate it. So yeah, it's definitely a good system, and I look forward to hearing the responses from you guys when you see the review. So, next question we've got here is from Tony, and he says, "Hi Ozzie, just a quick one that I can't seem to find an answer on. If hunting in New South Wales from Queensland on a Queensland licence, are you able to use rifles that are banned in New South Wales due to stock or appearance laws, hunting in state forests on an R licence?" Short answer, no. If something is banned in New South Wales, do not take it over the border. In other words, the big thing that comes to mind is folding stocks. Okay, prohibited in New South Wales, permitted here in Queensland. So if you've got like a Ruger Precision or something else there with even an adjustable stock, I believe is banned down there as well. So if you've got like a Remington 7615 and it's got an adjustable stock on it, or you've got a folding stock on just your standard bolt action firearm, do not take it over the border. What you've really got to look at is just picture it this way. Like, we've got certain laws here in Queensland, and just because someone in another country, say New Zealand, are licensed for semi-automatic centerfires and so forth, can they just bring their firearms here and use them here because they're licensed? Well, no, it goes on the area where you're going to. So if it's banned in New South Wales, whatever you do, do not take it into New South Wales. Next question I've got here is from F-Tops, and he says, "Hi Ozzie, what's the best and worst rifles, pistols, shotguns you've ever handled, and why?" Okay, let's start off with the bad ones to start with. One that comes to mind is a Norinco 22. Now, I had a good friend of mine, he was using my Ruger American 22, really liked it, and he was going to go and get one. But then at the last minute, when he went to get one, he folded and bought a Norinco. And I sort of said, "Why did you do that for?" Because they are just very rough. And anyhow, he got it, and then just continual problems. Very, very rough. Disgraceful trigger. I don't know. It was just terrible. And I know there's a lot of guys, from years ago who have nothing but good praise about the Norinco 22s, shooting rabbits and that. But this was just absolutely terrible, and I would never ever go near one or buy one myself. On a personal level, I had a Remington 700 in the police tactical, so basically it was just a heavy stock, heavy barrel Remington 700 in 308, and it was terrible. look, I really endured with it for months and tried to get it shooting, like it'd sort of shoot, 2 rounds and it'd be really tight, and then like the third round would be like, 4 to 6 inches off. It was just terrible, and that was at 100 yards. And no matter what I did, no matter what ammo, no matter even if I used reloads, nothing shot accurately through that rifle. And I mean, it was just obviously a Friday afternoon firearm. But I ended up being over the 12-month warranty period by the time I just had enough of it, and obviously, I couldn't do anything about it. So I actually got rid of that, and I got a Remington Sendero in 300 Win Mag, and that thing was just right on the money. So, it was a good change. Let's have a look at pistols and stuff. Before we go on, that Steyr Scout RFR, the rimfire rifle that I reviewed recently, I really took a disliking to that rifle. Like, its performance, accuracy was terrible. Continual problems with the action, with ejection and everything. That was another one I really just do not rate whatsoever. Going on to pistols now, this is back before we had the 2002-2003 changes with the pistol laws, and I was shooting a mate of mine's Glock 40 cal that he had, and he had it was supposed to be a police version, and it had like a New York trigger in, they call it, and it was ridiculous, like something like 8 or 9 pounds. It was insane. And I remember that time, like that was the first time I had ever shot a Glock pistol, and I thought, what is this heap of junk in my hand? It was, number one, it looked like it was an old Volvo 240. It was this rectangular brick, and I just and the terrible trigger that was with it. And at that time, I was used to shooting like Smith & Wesson, 38 specials and 357 Magnum revolvers. And obviously the accuracy and everything that I was getting with them, was really good. And then when I had to go at this Glock, this 40 cal, absolutely terrible. But obviously they fixed things now with the newer generations, and there's a lot better ones out there. But I always remember that. It always stuck in my head. As for actual shotguns, I can't really say I've had a bad experience with a shotgun. The only thing that I remember when I was younger, I had a 12 gauge coach gun, and it was just a Boydo one that I had, and God, that was a lot of fun at the time, because it was chambered obviously for 3-inch Magnum. And I remember there wasn't a lot of 3-inch Magnum cartridges in a lot of the gun shops, and this is years ago now. And I remember getting some. I bought some 3-inch Magnum BBs and ended up taking that out to the range at the time. And geez, it got a lot of attention. Just the noise it made and the shorter barrels, and you could see all this like grit and everything just coming out of the end of the barrels. And it was a lot of fun. And I wouldn't say it's probably the worst I've ever handled, but geez, it was pretty rough at the time compared to a lot of shotguns that I've used now. So that would probably be the list there. I can't think of any other firearms that really stand out as being, really bad. Now the next question I've got here is from Edward, and he says, "G'day Ozzie, can you please clarify whether you can actually use firearms on a Queensland collector's licence, mainly Category C? The weapons licensing page says they have to be left temporarily inoperable, but it doesn't specify if you're allowed to shoot them or buy ammo for them. Cheers." Well, mate, what you'll find with the ammo stuff is usually you'll see under that explosives regulation, which pretty much spells out what you can and can't do with ammunition here in Queensland. It's not under the Weapons Act, and it's not under any Firearms Act like it is in other states. So basically that says if you have a Weapons Act license, you can purchase ammunition. So a lot of dealers will allow you to purchase ammunition, on a collector's license. As for the actual shooting of them, it's pretty much spelled out under the Act there. Section 78 says that you can't operate or discharge a firearm on a collector's license unless authorised to do so. So what they're meaning by that is if you're a member of a certain historical club and they have a proper accredited shoot. Now some of them will have a shoot every 6 months, and a lot of the times that's for like handguns, but then you also have the reenactment side of it as well. Anyone into that can then obviously operate firearms, used for that purpose. So yeah, it's a little ambiguous, and it depends on really what the historical society that you're a member of has and is authorised to do, with its members, and then it depends what you're authorised to do on your licence. So generally, no, you can't. It is just for the purpose of collection, but there are those exemptions there. But as for Cat C, I know there's some certain members that had the view in weapons licensing that will never ever happen, but then there's other historical societies that disagree with that. So it's very ambiguous, but to safeguard yourself, that's what you'd have to do. You would have to be authorised under your licence to do it with a proper accredited event, which is part of a historical club or society. Now the next question I've got here is from Greg, and he says, "Hi Ozzie, I can't seem to find anything in writing about the minimum land size you can shoot on in Queensland. Now I've heard that it's 40 acres in size, but I understand bigger calibers would need more space. But given my kids are just starting out with 22s, wondering if my parents' rural 5-acre block is a legal option, or just for a bit of sighting in with quiet subsonic rounds, as long as the backdrop is safe and immediate neighbours on board." Mate, this is a good question. A lot of people do ask me this question, and I have answered it before, but I don't think I've answered it before in Q&A. I could be wrong, but I'm happy to answer it again here. Now, what you'll find here in Queensland, and this is where it's very misleading, is when you first go to get your A and B licence, if you want to have it for recreational reasons, okay, you need to be able to have a property with a minimum land size of 40 acres that's rural zoned for you to be able to get that licence, to qualify for that licence, okay? Once you actually got your licence, I mean, you can shoot on 5 acres, you can shoot on 10 acres, provided that it's zoned rural and it doesn't fall in any city or town, okay? So, in other words, you can't have 5 acres for example, like, I don't know, let's think of somewhere like over near Belmont, Redland Bay or something like that. I know there's some larger blocks around that area. Because that's in a city. That'd probably be Brisbane City, I think, maybe with the council. So you wouldn't be able to do it there. But if you've got 5 acres that's zoned rural and it's on the outskirts of Brisbane, and your nearest town is I don't know, maybe Ipswich, that's 20 minutes away or something like that, then there's no problem in doing that. But you're already on the right track here, mate. It's just common sense. Obviously, if you're on a 5-acre block, you're really not going to be using a 300 Winchester Magnum, are you? If you're just using a 22 there with subsonic rounds, and you've got the neighbours on side, that's the biggest thing. That is the biggest thing, because who is going to ring up and complain if there's a problem? Usually it's going to be the neighbours. But if you're using just a 22 there on 5 acres, it's zoned rural and it doesn't fall within any town or township, then I can't see a problem with it whatsoever. Now the next question I've got here is from Matt, and he says, "Hi Ozzie, I've noticed you've mentioned a few times about not dry firing a rimfire. Can you explain that some more? What damage does it do? Also, when travelling when travelling to another state, I know you'd need to apply for any special licences like the New South Wales R licence to hunt there. But what if you travel from your home state for a competition? Does your home state licence suffice?" Okay, so we'll get to the first part of the question there, mate. Basically, look, the firing pin will strike the breech face with a rimfire there. Some rimfires you can, they put the tolerances back so it doesn't, but usually they'll strike that breech face, and then over time what will happen, because that's pretty hard steel, is it'll start to wear down that firing pin. So, after you do that a lot, then you can have misfires. So that's why usually people won't dry fire a rimfire, because obviously a centerfire, if you dry fire that, well, it's not hitting anything, is it? Because you've got the breech face there and there's just air in the middle there. It's not going to connect with metal as such. Now, to answer the last part of your question here, usually it's about 3 months, depending on which state allows it, but you can go interstate there up to 3 months, I believe. I could be wrong. The legislation up here has changed since I've last looked at it, but usually that's what it is. They give you a certain period. It may even be a month or even 2 weeks or something, but there definitely is exemptions there, so people who are licensed, for target shooting can go interstate and compete. It's only if, like you say, you were going from Queensland down to New South Wales, well, you can't just go and do public land hunting without having that New South Wales licence. Now the next question I got here is from Patrick, and he says, "G'day Ozzie, thanks for all the effort you put into the reviews and questions. Your thoughts on the idea of reloading. Do you think that with the quality and range of factory ammo that we have, is reloading of any real use or only in very specialised ways?" Well mate, honestly, I don't reload. I used to when I was a lot younger, but I don't now. And mainly because, the main firearms that I have are very common calibers, so 308, 22, 223. So all of those calibers, you can buy some really good factory ammo. Obviously discard the 22 because we can't reload that. But the 223 and the 308, you can buy such great bulk deals. It's really not even worth my time reloading. For example, the 223, I really love that OSA 55 grain Game King. And that's around, depending on where you get it from, around about sort of 60 cents a shot. I can't, if I can beat that with reloading, I can't be bothered putting in the time to do it, put it that way. With 308 as well, you've got two, you've got those federal 130 grain spear, you've also got the OSA 135 grain Sierra Pro Hunters. They're really good. They're just over $1 a shot, so for 308 I look at that and just go, yeah, that's pretty adequate to what my needs are. So for me, look, if you were into something like, for example, like 6.5 Creedmoor, those things at the moment are like $3 a shot. So yeah, I could see the benefit in reloading with that. But if you've got a very common caliber, and obviously it shoots well, and what I'm talking about shoots well, if you can shoot half an inch or under at 100 with 223 or 308, really, what more do you want? That's just my personal feeling on it. The next question we got here is from Alex, and he says, "Hi Ozzie, have you used 270 Winchester for deer hunting in the past, and what are your thoughts on the 270 versus 308? They both seem to be the best options from what I read. Would you suggest anything else? Keep up the good reviews, mate." Yeah, look, I have used both, and both of them do the job on deer no problem at all. It all comes down, obviously, to shot placement to make that ethical and humane kill. Let's be honest, when you're shooting a deer, if you're shooting a deer at 100 yards or 200 yards, it's going to make no difference whether you hit that deer with 130 grain hunting round out of 270, or you're using 150 grain hunting round out of a 308. Dead's dead. It's going to do the job. What I find though, obviously, is the 270 shoots a little bit flatter because obviously it is a lighter projectile and you've got a heap of charge behind it. It's basically just that neck down 30-06 case. So there is a lot of charge there. Problem is though, depending on what you want to do, and I know you're talking about deer hunting in particular here, but one of the reasons that I find 308 probably a little bit of an advantage is, if you want to shoot match, you've got a whole heap of match ammunition available for 308, where the 270 you don't. Also as well, you get bulk deals on 308, where 270, once again, very, very hard to find. So it depends if you are reloading or not, but they're both ample calibers and they both have their positives. Honestly, I like them both, but I'd probably go more for 308 only because of those reasons. Now, next question I've got here is from Jared. He says, "Mate, what are your thoughts about the current petition on the 3-year hunting trial in state forests in Queensland? And also, what's your thoughts on the 6.5 Creedmoor versus 270 versus 308? Okay, so the first part of the question, mate, is fantastic. I've shared that petition a couple of times on the Facebook page, and the guy behind it has done very well to use his initiative to do this. And look at it, mainstream media have now picked it up and they're covering it. And this is what I try to say to all you guys at home, do you really think that I'm anyone special, or anybody else who gets in front of a camera and decides to take a bit of a stand or show some initiative? Do do you think that they're anyone real special? We're all the same, guys. We're all people that just love, our hobby and our passion for firearms. But we've all got to take a stand, and we've all got to get out there and do something. So, my hat off to the guy behind it. Good on him. And I really think that it's going to be something that will be looked at seriously, because the fact that other states have it, it's a weird system, isn't it? It's sort of, if one state has something, the other states in Australia are happy to look at it. But if no state has it, well, everyone's sort of like, oh no, I don't really want to look at that, and be the first one to do it. So I really think that it's something that could be won here in Queensland. And yeah, there's a lot of negativity where people just completely uneducated are straight off the cuff going, well, there's people are going to get shot, and what about if I'm walking in the forest and someone shoots my dog, and oh my God, there's just so many emotional things that are going on. And that's the problem. If it was like that, well, we'd be hearing the news stories about it all the time out of Victoria and New South Wales. At the end of the day, it can't be completely accident proof, because accidents do happen no matter what. But through education and responsible firearm ownership, you really have minimised the chance of anything bad happening like that. So that's my thoughts on it, and I think that it'll probably get up. Now, as for the 6.5 verse 270 verse 308, look, if it's for deer, mate, as I said, I do like the 308 because of those reasons I mentioned. But what you'll find, here in Queensland, it's a little bit different, because deer are a feral pest. So you can go out and pretty much shoot them, with different calibers. You don't have those minimum calibers like I believe they have in Victoria, and I think New South Wales. Correct me if I'm wrong. So those ones there where they have a minimum of 270. Well, obviously the 6.5 would be out. Okay, that's just under, because 270 is 6.8. So yeah, 6.5, I really think that is a fantastic cartridge. I really, really do like the cartridge in general, mainly for target shooting or long range shooting. If the cost of the ammunition was a lot less, definitely I'd say, get it in more of a hunting setup. But for the price, and you've got to look at the distances that you're hunting at. Like I said, most of the time you're not going to shoot any more than 100 or 200 yards. So the difference between 6.5, 270 and 308, there's no difference on game at that distance. Dead is dead. It comes down to shot placement and the use of the correct projectile. Now, next question I've got here is from Ellis, and he says, am I allowed to order a reloading press online, or do I need to contact customs? Mate, I haven't read anywhere that you can't order a reloading press, because mainly it's reloading components such as shells, projectiles, that you do actually need a permit for. So I can't find anywhere that says you can't. Obviously, you just have to make sure that the company over in the US is happy to ship it to you, which I'm sure you'll probably find most will. But just to safeguard yourself, I'd still contact customs. I've done it many times in the past when I've been importing things. And all I do is I just send them the email with the actual link to the website of what you want, and say, I'd like to order this. Can you please tell me if there's any restrictions on it this end? I think you'll probably find you've got to pay import tax on everything now. That's the latest change with import rules, I believe. So you'd have to really make sure, once you look at the price of that press, then add the shipping and then the import tax. If you're only saving yourself, $50 out of spending, maybe $600, you'd have to really weigh it up whether it was worth it to you at the end of the day. But that's the way I'd go about it. Any doubt, just send them an email with the link. Now, the next question I've got here is from Chris, and he says, G'day mate, what's your opinion on objective lens size? My options on the VX5 HD, so the loophole scope I'd imagine, are 44mm or 56mm. My deer hunting is mostly at dusk and dawn, but realistically, how much extra shooting time am I likely to gain from the extra lens size? Will it be worth the extra bulk? The short answer is no. Mate, I love 40, 42, 44mm objectives. The only time I use 56 is when you really want to stretch out with target shooting. That's one of that's one of the big things that you'll find with 56mm objectives, is they're used mainly for like long range shooting, because a lot of the time they'll be a 30mm tube, so there'll be some more actual adjustment in it, okay, over like 1-inch tubes. But honestly, for hunting, you can't go past a 1-inch tube with a 40, 42 or 44mm objective. Now, as for how much extra will it give you, like it would be negligible between the two, and I'd happily put two side by side, and I honestly believe to the naked eye you really wouldn't be able to pick it up. What it comes down to is the glass quality. That is what's going to give you the advantage when hunting. So that's why people will talk about like Schmidt and Bender and Swarovski when they want to go on those hunts, because you need very high quality glass if you want to get that precise shot in those low light conditions. But in saying that, I haven't looked at the VX5 HD, but I'd imagine they'd be pretty damn good, because even the VX3i that I've reviewed, and I own a couple of those scopes, are just fantastic scopes for the price. I can't fault them. So mate, I would honestly just go for the 44mm, save yourself the bulk, because when you're hunting, as I've said many times, you don't want to be lugging around an extra couple of ounces. You really don't. Everything when it comes down to weight is a big factor when you're actually going on hunts. So stick to that one. Let me know how you go. Alright guys, so that's it for this month's Q&A. Thank you very much for all of you who have submitted the questions. I do genuinely enjoy answering them. So for next month guys, we'll put a notification up on Patreon for you to be able to submit more questions, and we'll get to them in good time. So sorry for a little bit of a delay this time in it coming out by a couple of days. I normally have it done by now, but we've had a few priorities here on the farm, and we haven't been able to get it done till now. So hope you enjoyed it guys. If you do want to jump in on this, or you just want to be able to help out a truly independent channel like myself, please just jump onto the link on Patreon. It's not that hard to find. Just go to Patreon and put in Aussie Reviews, and up it will come. And you can donate from as little as $1 a month. So I hope that you get some, I genuinely hope that you get some value out of the answers that I provide in this. And I'll always give you my honest viewpoint on every question that I get. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed it. So till next time, we'll catch you then.